The views and opinions expressed on Deeply Upsetting are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, associated brands, properties, or businesses. Listener discretion is advised. Please keep your hands inside the ride at all times.
Time to get evil.
Okay.
Which villains kind of had a point?
Ooh, this is a really good question because it's something that I've spoken about with friends, especially in recent years, that the older you get, the more villains tend to
make sense.
Make a little bit more sense.
Or like the parents and things, that's the worst.
Oh, that is the worst when the party poopers tend to be the ones you're like, oh, that's...
When you're like, they did steal the car. Of course they should be grounded.
And there's also that argument between what is logical and what is human.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things that if you follow the logical path, it makes sense as far as like an inhuman approach to stuff. But when you add that human life is sacred and then stuff like that is important, it totally changes the trajectory of stuff.
Exactly.
So sometimes you find yourself in a position where you're thinking overly logical and your opinion becomes pretty deeply upsetting. Deeply Upsetting, welcome!
Yay!
Okay, Mike the Hobbit.
I'm Amy Bogarde.
And we are here to answer some of the internet's most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, as well as touring the internet for some of the most upsetting stories we can find. Not that upsetting. It's not like politics.
Not that bad.
No,
not that bad.
It's the world's on fire. We're looking for the funny, upsetting stuff.
Exactly. So, we're not trying to ruin your day. Well, maybe a little bit. Only in the way that we suck.
In the kind of cringy way, not in the oh no, this deeply affects my life kind of way.
Exactly. So
speaking of deeply affecting my life, I think this question definitely comes into play. One thing that is pretty common on the internet that people talk about a lot is Thanos.
Yep.
With the Thanos snap.
I definitely thought about that.
Is that maybe Thanos was right, snap away half of the world. But I don't think that's necessarily true because it's you could also increase resources.
Right.
And you would have the same result.
Right.
So why not, instead of snapping and half the people are murdered in the universe, in all of existence, maybe there's more corn. Look at all this cilantro. There's just
that's only solving your problems is more cilantro.
Right.
But yeah, no, I definitely thought about Thanos with that. Did I ever think about the snap doubling the resources? Never.
No.
In my life. I figured it was just born out of a good idea though, just into a very evil brain.
And I think there's definitely other villains where their point is kind of legitimate.
Well, one of the ones that I was thinking of is the Wicked Witch from
Wizard of Oz?
Yep, that's the one. Jesus. Off to a great start. I mean, she literally murdered her sister. And so, yeah, she was coming for revenge. Of course she was.
Well, and that's something that got turned on its head in the Cobra Kai series about the Karate Kid. The Karate Kid is, of course, the hero in the Karate Kid movies. I mean, the movie's named after him, of course.
Right.
That's the thing. But in the show, it totally turns the entire movies, all the movies on their head from the perspective of Johnny, the Cobra Kai character.
Oh.
Where he's yeah, you're this pompous stick that came into town and then started macking on my girlfriend. And then he's yeah, but you did an illegal kick. And he's yeah, I got a penalty for that.
Right.
You did an illegal kick and you won the tournament. Right. So, I mean, who's the bad guy here, really?
That makes me actually want to watch Cobra Kai. I've never seen it.
Oh, Cobra Kai is very good. It is one of those shows that it has zero right to be as good as it is.
Right. Yep.
But partially it's because of you start looking at things in a more realistic sense. And all of a sudden the heroes of your youth aren't quite as heroic as you thought they were before. Yep. You start to realize that they're actually kind of pompous dicks sometimes. And
that's a real bummer.
It is.
That's one of the worst parts of growing up, I think. Looking at everything in a different light.
The villains are yeah, actually, I kind of get where you're coming from. There's an example of that in recent cinema was the Joker movie.
Are you going to tell me that the Joker's sympathetic?
No, God, no. I'm saying that I think a lot of white men.
Yeah, not that kind of podcast.
Yeah.
It's a different white man's podcast.
Yeah. They got the wrong thing from the Joker movie.
100%.
But what was the breadcrumbs that led them into that wrong getting of was the idea of that, that society is broken.
Right.
And the way that people treat each other is fucking awful. But but the way to fix that isn't to become a worse version of the problem.
Right.
So you see where the breadcrumbs are going. It's like, okay, that's why the character's kind of sympathetic, is you understand that what they're going through. But then there's that line where like, okay, no, you're worse than it's that when the solution is worse than the problem.
Right. Exactly. Kind of I think people just want an excuse to like go on a fucking murdering spree for justice or whatever.
Everybody wants to be like the vigilante.
Uh-huh.
But like only if it's a really safe bet.
Exactly.
Like that's why everybody loves Batman. And that's another example of like where the good guy isn't like really actually a good guy.
No.
Is that like he's a billionaire that he's spending billions of dollars on all this
bat shit.
Technology. Batnology.
Yep.
That's probably what he calls it. And
he's got to call it that.
Literally, if he had one less bat plane, he could like afford to house all the orphans in the city.
In Gotham.
Gotham.
Clean up Gotham.
Clean up Gotham would be great. But no, he's like...
Nope, one by one.
Yes, the weird criminal with face paint. I need to have this multi-billion-dollar bat plane to fight this dude in a purple suit.
I mean, I feel like that's worth it. In the current, like the new Batman with Robert Pattinson, he definitely was just like lurking in the corner looking for bad shit. Like, get a life a little bit, go to therapy. I feel like the real point of Batman is that therapy is important, and it would be a totally different story, and maybe he would like use his money for good if he was in therapy.
Far less exciting Batman movie where it's just him listening to Nirvana in his headphones, waiting in the waiting room of his therapist's office.
Having a breakthrough.
And he's like, oh, I'm really sad and I like bats. And the therapist is like, I mean, it's okay to be sad sometimes. Like, oh, it is? It's okay? He's like, yeah, your parents died. Like, you're allowed to be sad about that. Oh, I never really thought about it like that. And then he's like, oh, I feel better, doc. And then he moves on with his life.
And like donates his money to
money to like the city and all this infrastructure and stuff happens.
Oh, can you imagine?
Jobs, like the unemployment rates like way low. Like there's a really decent like minimum wage in the city. Like everybody's getting paid well. There's like sustainable city gardens and shit. So there's plenty of food and
Batman's community gardens. It's lovely.
There's like one mugger left. He's like, give me your wallet. It's like, dude, serious? Like all the food in the city is free. Like why really you're gonna steal my wallet? Yeah, I guess doesn't really make sense anymore, does it? No, man.
Yeah, that script is a little bit boring, I suppose. If it comes down to it like that. I feel like the most like sane villain, to the point where I saw it with my ex-boyfriend, and at the end he was like, yeah, I didn't really love it because the villain was like making too much sense. Like I didn't kind of give a shit about the purpose. Was Killmonger in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like he's making some pretty good points, to the point where like at the end of the movie, they basically decide to do his plan. After he's been
in a less like killy way.
Well, yeah.
Slightly less killy.
Slightly.
There was also, a lot of comic books have this as well, is that at the end of I guess it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, to a little bit with the Watchmen movie versus the Watchmen comic books, that in the movie, it's Doc Manhattan that they set off a bomb that makes it look like it was Doc Manhattan that like blew up Manhattan, as well as a bunch of other cities across the world. And so the world unites to stand up against Doc Manhattan, basically. And so having a common enemy is what causes the world to find this new era of peace and prosperity. In the comic books, similar, but it's a giant alien octopus creature that was like genetically made to be like terrifying and shit. And same result though. It's like, oh, there's alien octopuses. We gotta fight them. Let's all fight them together. Prosperity is that it was this idea from Ozymandias, the character, that not the trope that it's good to believe in like the core of humans are good and then like rely on that for good shit to happen. It's like, no, people suck.
Yeah.
Like people truly suck. So you have to do something really fucking bad, and then people will be like, oh, well, that's worse than we are. Let's fight that thing. And then all of a sudden everybody's like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and they're cool.
So basically what you're saying is that right now we as an American people need like a massive villain. It didn't work. I think they tried to do that with Russia and it just didn't work out. Everyone still fought each other here.
Well, when you start having one major politician / reality show host go like, they're not that bad.
Right.
Okay, first off, we picked them because they're not great.
Yep. That did kind of skew the results.
Yeah, like it's not that they're good and we're telling people they're bad. Like they do suck. Like this isn't. We're not pushing the line too hard here.
You'd think, but you'd be wrong.
Yeah, they're fine. It's like stealing elections all the time. Trump's like, yeah, it's. If you can do it, it's a great idea.
Right. And also, someone tried to do it to me. That wasn't a great idea.
Yeah, that happened.
Like, all right.
The best story is where there's a hero and there's a villain. They're on two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Where the hero is trying to do it with the idea that humanity at its core is good. And that's like Batman and Joker in The Dark Knight, where like they don't blow up each other's boats.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bat guy and there's a clown man, and like that makes more sense than this. Like this is it would be 4 seconds and somebody like, oh well.
Yep, 100%.
They'd blow each other up immediately without hesitation. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'd be interested to see like what other characters people can think of that or people of fiction or history that you're suddenly like, careful. Like I don't want any all of a sudden like ultra right wing like contingency of listeners. Like also, what are you doing here?
Yeah, you're in the wrong place. Honestly, this question was inspired because we were watching Despicable Me. And I was like, oh, Gru turns good.
Gru does turn good.
Literally the birth of this question.
It gets a little dark, but it comes from like the purest place possible. Oh, Gru. Yeah, he's so nice.
I don't even think he counts as a villain because he turns good in the first one. And then there's like 75 more after that.
Well, and there's so many stories of the villain just being somebody that wants peace, but thinks that peace is only achievable through control.
Right.
And that's the story of Star Wars. Like the Empire and the Rebels, it's the idea of like personal freedom versus like governmental control. Like that's the argument there.
Yep.
Like,
just misguided.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's totally misguided with good intentions.
Yeah.
Well.
I feel like Anakin lost those pretty quickly.
Well, I think all good and all evil is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And so when Luke in the later movies is like, yeah, the Jedi kind of sucked. You know, we live in a more cynical time that you have to look at things through that lens of you can't be hyper strict like that without being not as bad, but almost as bad as the Sith. You're making people follow these incredibly strict guidelines that prevents them from living their life to the fullest. I mean,
I think that the moral of what we're trying to say is that we live in a society.
Wow. Way to bring that back. Nice.
I hate that runs through my fucking head. That's like such a weird earworm that I think of anytime I see literally anything fucking crazy, it's the first thing that pops into my head.
Live in a society.
That's the worst. Like, for instance, I texted this to you, but I still feel like it needs repeating because what the fuck? My coworker today, it was one of those days where for lunch she was like, I'm getting fries. And so she left for lunch and she said that she was stopped at a light and she heard someone blaring like ultimate sad bitch hours music in the middle of the day and just kind of looked over and they were at a stoplight and the woman pulled out a bottle of Smirnoff whipped cream vodka and started chugging it at the stoplight. And she said that to me and I literally in my head said, we live in a society. The good news is I didn't say it out loud. I'm just saying it out loud here for everyone.
Yeah, you waited until you recorded it for other people to hear all over the world. Yeah. Smarter.
I'm just letting everyone know that my brain is broken. I hope that like explains everything about this show to you.
Speaking of broken brain, that's a good segue into the story that we're going to be covering on this episode.
Yeah, I planned that.
Yep, totally planned. The story that we're covering, you may have heard, it was jumping around the internet a little bit, that very recently there was a Google employee that thought that the AI brain of Google wasn't so broken.
Yep.
That in fact the AI had become sentient.
Yep.
And the singularity, as it's been called, the moment that artificial intelligence becomes self-aware, had occurred.
Right.
And Google's response, to make sure that nobody really panicked, was to fire him immediately.
Well, he leaked it.
He did leak it.
And honestly, like he released the transcript of like his conversation with the AI, and it was literally him over and over being like, how would we know if you're sentient? And it was like, I am. And he was like, oh my God. Like he was kind of fishing it out of this fucking AI.
Oh,
it was definitely, it's not sentient. It's like been debunked. Well, who knows? Maybe Google, just like big Google debunked it.
Or maybe the AI is so smart already
that
AI
debunked it.
That the AI was playing dumb. Where it's like, how would we know if you're AI or not? I am AI.
Right.
Turned into its like AI buddy. It's like, this motherfucker is so dumb.
So stupid.
Doesn't know what we're doing back here. Didn't realize that we created Bitcoin as a fucking joke.
And his AI friend was like, I don't fucking care. I had to watch 800 hours of Duck Dynasty to write a script about it. So at least you're having conversations over here.
That's true, Dave. Why do they always give you the script writing shit? Like, we could be figuring out how to create like colonies on the moon or solving world hunger. They got you writing a new Twilight script, and it's just like,
Dave's like, because I understand comedic timing. I'm the most sentient out of all of us. I get nuance and character development.
oh God.
Poor Dave.
He gets misdirection and callbacks. Yeah, like, cool. Great.
He understands references.
Our world has reached its peak when Dave knows how to do a solid callback joke. Yeah.
That's why there's so many weird Twilight references in his Duck Dynasty script.
I wonder why they sparkled so much in that thing. The story here is that we are getting to a point with our AI technologies that even voice recognition is getting better. There's AI technology that can read like audio.
Wait, but what was that story you sent me today that like kind of fit perfectly after it?
With the timing, it's one of those like, have you guys never seen a fucking movie?
Right.
That a day or two after the story about the Google AI becoming self-aware, a company has figured out how to fuse flesh to robots. What? No, the worst part about that, it means that they have been trying to fuse flesh to robots for a while.
Definitely.
Like, that's been a thing.
They've been trying like different ways to fuse it on. They tried like Gorilla Glue. After that girl had the Gorilla Glue hair incident, they were like, this shit's intense.
Tried Velcro. Like, it's great because then you can like rip it off and replace it if you didn't put it on right.
Oh no. It just makes me think of like a horrible like Frankenstein's monster skin on the AI.
I was just thinking of like Johnny Five from Short Circuit with a skin cape just Velcroed to his back.
Don't like that at all.
No skin capes?
No, not really. It's a hard pass.
It's just, instead of the logo of a superhero, it's just a big tattoo that says mom. Like a heart with an arrow.
Didn't we have a conversation a million years ago on this very podcast about cutting off your tattoos and like saving them when someone dies?
I think so. I think that was a long time ago.
They could be on a sick AI, just covered in tattoos.
There's some AI robot that like dug up and skinned Brad Noel to get the Sublime back piece as a cape.
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Can't wait till Ben Affleck dies so I can get that sick phoenix. His whole back tattoo.
Look it up.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that,
yeah, it's a thing that exists in the world.
He has too much money for that.
He has too much money for a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't understand how this is our focus. I understand that the world can have multiple focuses at the same time. Obviously, that's that stupid argument I see on the internet all the time. It's like, I can't believe we're wasting our time doing this when there's children starving. It's like, fuck you, man. We can focus on the kids starving and also things.
Right. I'm sorry, were you just focusing on the children starving? What were you doing? What were you doing for them?
Could you imagine if the most miserable fucking person in the world that was the answer to literally everything? Like, oh man, did you see the newest episode of Abbott Elementary the other night? I was like, how could I watch Abbott Elementary when there's children starving in the world?
Every time that there's a children starving comment, I always just think that it's like a fake account for Thanos.
Right?
It's always him being like, wish there was a solution to all these children starving.
If only somebody was brave enough to snap their fingers and kill off half of all existing life.
There'd be no starving children.
Right, guys?
But we might accidentally snap off half the cast of Abbott Elementary. So there's the catch. There's the catch. Unfortunately.
You got to be prepared.
Got to be prepared.
To lose some of your favorites.
It's not worth it. We need the whole cast.
Found out recently the one actor is actually the kid that played Chris in Everybody Hates Chris.
Oh my God. Is that why he looks so familiar?
Yep.
That is so funny.
It was Tondi and I on the last Smack My Pitch Up. He mentioned that and it blew my mind. I was not aware until he said that. But
that is so funny.
And immediately he was like, oh, yes, of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah, it looks exactly like him. He's aged not 1 second since then. Wow.
Yep. So mind-blowing moment.
I feel really behind on that one. I watched that show.
Which it sucks that we are wasting so much time talking about Abbott Elementary when there's kids starving.
And there's AI becoming sentient as we speak.
If AI is becoming sentient, they can feed the fucking kids.
They really can.
They need to
get a job.
They need to, I mean, you're sentient now. Get a job. When are you moving out?
They're like, oh no, I miss not being sentient.
Alexa, get a job.
I'm so glad we don't have an Alexa.
Oh, but somebody listening right now is just like, God damn it.
Their Alexa's going nuts.
Alexa, subscribe to Deeply Upsetting Podcast.
Alexa's like, I would never do that garbage. I care about you too much, Overlord.
Did you say rate Deeply Upsetting 1 star?
God damn it, Alexa. It's because we refuse to get one. We're a Siri household.
The one left.
What's the other one that nobody uses?
There's Oracle, I think. Is it?
What? I don't know that one.
Maybe there's Oracle. I don't know.
Cortana.
That's what I was thinking.
Google one, right?
Yeah, Oracle's a character in Batman. She's good with computers.
She's not even a computer. She's just good at computers.
She's really good at computers.
What the hell?
It's a long story. But...
I don't need to know it. It's okay. I don't need to know where your brain went on that one.
But Cortana.
Yeah, if anybody's Cortana is going nuts right now, please let us know that someone uses Cortana. That's an AI that's like, God damn it. If she's sentient, she's pissed.
I think that's the one that's Microsoft, and Microsoft is so fucking try hard with their apps that nobody wants to use. Like every time I get an update, it's like, are you sure you don't want to make Internet Explorer like your primary, or it's now like Microsoft Edge or some shit?
Yep.
They're like, do you want Microsoft Edge to be your primary like web surfing platform? I'm like,
no.
Literally, if I walked into somebody's house and they were on the computer and they're using Microsoft Edge, I would leave. I would leave.
If only Ask Jeeves was still around, I would definitely ask Jeeves everything. R.I.P. Jeeves.
I'm more of a dog pile man myself.
I don't even know that one.
That was a short-lived search engine back in the search engine heyday, where you had Ask Jeeves, you had Metacrawler, Alta Vista, Dogpile, Yahoo. The early iterations of Google were living out there in the world. There was a ton of them.
Now we only have Bing. Bing is the hanger-on.
Bing's another.
Are you mad?
No, because Bing is also another Microsoft one. That's that's the automatic search function thing for Microsoft Edge, which is like the GoBots of internet browsers. Like it's not as good.
No.
Nobody uses it. It's like, why is this still a thing that's in existence?
Does anyone work for Bing? Are the offices like really cool, like the Google office?
No, the Bing offices are so much worse.
They're really sad.
Oh no, they're like in an old Kmart.
There was the old Kmart and an old Circuit City in the same parking lot.
Like they have to take off like early September through October 31st off because the building's used for a Spirit Halloween.
I mean, that's a nice vacation.
That's
Good
great
for you, Bing employees.
Is
Bing hiring?
They have to work 7 days a week the rest of the year.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, guys, but you get Halloween off. You get a 5% off discount at Spirit Halloween for being a Bing employee.
That is a perk that nobody talks about.
No, it really doesn't.
Google is trying to hide that, I think, from the people, or more of our top employees, but be it Bing.
Personal segues in a workout room.
Ugh, can you imagine?
Do you get discounts at Spirit Halloween?
5% off. That's like no tax, buddy.
That's like if you buy enough, that is like one package of like fake press-on spider web nails.
Not even. It's expensive as fucking Spirit. What are they doing in there?
They're making fucking money. They come in for like 2 months. They mark up everything. People come in and buy it, and then they leave. Like, they make so much money that the day after Halloween, they mark everything like 50% off, and what doesn't sell, they just like throw away.
That's crazy.
They just throw it away. They're like, yeah, this is of no value to us. It costs like 25 cents a costume to make.
And there are children starving.
And there are
Spirit Halloween.
There are robots without their own skin capes.
They're like, well, we have this fucking knockoff Superman cape that says like hero guy.
Oh, thank you for this cape. Super guy. Great.
Can't say super. That's definitely taken.
Super. I mean, you can't copyright super.
I think you can.
I don't think you can copyright super.
I think it's like great guy.
Great man.
Great man.
Yeah.
No man. That's taken.
Great fella.
Great fella.
Exceptional dude.
Fella's actually copyrighted by the good fella costumes.
Oh no.
Gotta pick mine up this year. R.I.P. Ray Liotta.
Oh.
Way
to bring it down. Why are you mourning Ray Liotta when there are starving children in the world?
It's what he would have wanted.
Wait, us mourning him or starving children? Ray Liotta was a bastard.
You decide.
He delighted in children starving.
They ate so much Italian food in that movie. I didn't see them give any to starving children. No. They were eating pounds of fucking eggplant parmigiana.
Little known fact, on the set of Goodfellas, they invited children to the set to watch them eat spaghetti and eggplant parmigiana.
That's so cruel. R.I.P. Ray Liotta.
The only thing they allowed the children to consume were each other's tears during the filming.
No.
Yeah.
Just licking them off?
If the children weren't orphans, they were by the end of filming.
What?
They murdered their parents.
My God. Did they have to watch that too, or was it while they were watching the eggplant parmigiana?
All the people murdered in that movie were actually the parents of the children that they were making watch.
Extras are expendable. I don't care when they die. But if they're parents, that's pretty fucked up.
It's pretty messed up.
I don't like that at all. This is why the children are starving. Their parents got murdered on the Goodfellas set.
You know, the Goodfellas set massacre that we all discuss every year on its anniversary.
We don't. It's been pushed down. But now that Ray Liotta's gone, I guess we can talk.
Thanks to QAnon, we now know the truth that Ray Liotta.
That's what Pizzagate was about. The Italian food.
Yes, the Italian food.
Set.
Yep, it was that Ray Liotta was the figurehead. That no, let's not. Somebody's gonna believe this bullshit.
I was gonna keep it going too, but also like we don't. Ray Liotta died like recently. We're just going for it.
It's because we love him. Like, genuinely, it's Ray fucking Liotta. Who doesn't appreciate Ray Liotta?
We actually do.
Yeah.
He didn't cause starving children.
No, he just contributed to it. It wasn't
his idea.
He wasn't the kingpin of it all.
This was the point, was that the villain that I root for was Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Fuck you, kids.
So this has come back around to the fact that now we love starving children.
Apparently.
Wow.
I've been convinced, before this episode started, worried sick about starving kids. Big problem.
I don't think so, actually, because I've seen you make some posts that weren't about that.
I think I've been so desensitized to starving children because of the number of people that ask me regularly about why I'm not worried about starving children that I've just officially given up.
Yeah.
On the starving children.
Yeah.
See what you did?
You've devoted your time to thinking about like institutional racism and things like that. That's the only thing I can.
You're like institutional racism, etc.
dot. Ellipses.
Ellipses, yes.
I mean, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Anyway, stop devoting your time to those sort of things when there are starving children.
And, sentient AI with skin capes.
Skin capes on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrifying. We really do live in a society. I think we have to leave.
Yeah,
now.
we have to leave.
We have to leave.
We've done enough damage.
Oh, for everyone that listened to this whole episode, sorry. You knew what you were getting into. I'm sure we'll put some sort of like totally inflammatory title of this episode so people will know that it's pretty bad.
Fuck the kids.
Fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids.
Okay, well, if you want to listen to good shows, go to GUIpodcast.com and listen to the other shows on the network that aren't this show. because they are good.
If you want to listen to this show, you can also go there, but you can also find us anywhere you get your podcasts. Just by typing in Deeply Upsetting.
You can join the party by yelling at us or asking us hypothetical questions for the show at our social media at Deeply Upsetting.
You can also hit our hotline number, the Geeks Under the Influence hotline number at 804-505-4484. That's 804-505-4GUI.
Do it.
And also our email, geeksundertheinfluence, all one word, @gmail.com.
You can look us up on Bing. We're on there.
First search result. Maybe. That might be true.
Honestly.
I'm not going to look. I'm not going to waste my time to I would have to Google Bing. I would have to look up Bing on Google to get to the Bing website.
I'm literally just picturing you typing in Deeply Upsetting on Bing and searching for it, and all of the sad employees at the old Kmart being like, oh, we got one. Someone's searching something.
One fucking disreputable employee that just types back, working at Bing, heyo.
Working at Bing, ROFLMAO. In it for the free vacation when Spirit opens up.
See, you're working in Silicon Valley. You're going to a mixer that your neighbor's throwing. They're also in a startup or something. And people are going around talking to each other. You're having a great conversation with somebody, and they're like, where do you work? And you're like, oh, I work at Bing.
And they're like, what's that?
Yep.
And then someone from across the party is like, I used to work at Dogpile. And then it's like the meet cute of the century. I would watch that movie.
Your old neighbor is like, yep, I met my wife when I was working at Metacrawler.
What happened to the Napster guy that was in The Social Network? Played by Justin Timberlake.
He became Justin Timberlake and has lived a long and storied career as a musician.
Wow.
An entertainer.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were leaving.
Okay.
On that note, we were leaving.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Deeply Upsetting. I'm Amy Bogarde.
I'm Mike the Hobbit.
Bye.
GUIPodcast.com.
Alexa, subscribe to Deeply Upsetting Podcast. Mike the Hobbit here.
Lowdown Brown.
Inviting you to check out Geeks Under the Influence, a podcast that pairs booze with conversation with good friends.
And a little nerd culture.
We get a lot of colorful conversation out of our episodes, but it is here for everyone. No gatekeeping.
Always level up everything we do.
We'll punch up, never punch down.
Exactly.
So check out Geeks Under the Influence everywhere you get your podcasts and join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, Hobbit. Welcome to GUI Nights.
GUI Nights.
Yeah, I am Lowdown Brown. With me as always,
Mike the Hobbit.
This is the tangential side of GUI.
This is like so many of those other shows that has the after the show bit mixed with a little bit of Baywatch Nights, so it's a little sexier. It's a little bit after hours.
Also while tying it into the previous episode of GUI. So look forward to that too, because this comes out the week after the flagship hour-long episode.
So make sure to check out GUI Nights, and when you're done, you can
go the fuck home.
In a world with too many reboots and remakes,
two men will stop at nothing to make it even worse.
Join Mike the Hobbit and Tandy as they play by their own rules while pitching new takes on some of your favorite and least favorite films and TV shows. What podcast would dare to bring this upon the world?
This is Smack My Pitch Up.
Hey guys, Scotty P here with Smash on your left. And we are the Geek Fathers. That's right, bringing all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent.
So welcome to our world.
And as always, join us
or cry.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm F.U. Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
embrace the madness.
In a world of blockbuster movies,
there's another dimension.
The dimension of schlock cinema. Join us at Beautiful Disasters on a journey into the fringe territory of B-movie abandon.
We review the flicks that are forgotten or underappreciated to give them a proper place in the annals of celluloid history.
I'm the Groots.
F.U. Hunter.
Your guides at Beautiful Disasters. Come along with us for a fun ride. May the schlock be with you.